Today, I am very excited to have Carrie Ann Hooper, who is a building broker from Carnelian Projects, join us. Carrie Ann, welcome.
Thank you. Hi, Ashley. Thanks for having me
No
on.
problems. Now, I'm really excited to speak to you. And I said to you just before I press record, don't say anything because I want to ask you all of it while we're recording, so we can get to know you a little bit better. But ultimately, what we're going to be talking today about is the new build industry and investors. And really, just I'm really curious just to find out a little bit more about that industry because, as we mentioned quickly off air, a lot of my clients are an established home big block style. And I'm curious to sort of hear a little bit more about what your market's looking at with investor activity. But before we get into that, can you just do an intro for me on yourself and a little bit about sort of your work and your history as well?
Yeah, sure. So I'm a building broker slash new home specialist. So I've had my company for 14 years, nearly 14 years now. So yes, I started. I'm in my 50s, so I'm way back. I did do real estate, like sales, property management, reception, and then actually my parents owned a building company. Again, this is like 30 odd years ago. So I sort of real estate and building is in my blood, I should say. So I started it 14 years ago with my sister. My sister and I started the business, and then a couple of years later, she sort of took the property management side, and I've just concentrated on the sales of new homes, of building a new home. So basically, I'm with my clients all the way through from beginning to end. I'm your new build wing woman, and and a range of people either have their block of land or they want a house land package, and it's a range of people: first home, forever home, downsizing, or investment home.
I was going to jump in and say that you were the smarter of the two sisters by going into that industry and not the property management side of things.
Oh no, my sister sold her business about a year or so ago, so she did very well.
I'm sure, yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yes.
second time, it's always a good thing with businesses. So I probably need to come straight back to the start because just for me, just to get the understanding. So you did touch on how sometimes people have got blocks of land and want to build, but then sometimes they want to invest in a property and they need the block and the land. So you can service both, is that right?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So set house and land packages, which are turnkey. So turnkey is everything's included inside the home. So which are fantastic for investors. So you don't have to think about organizing a concreter after the tenants move in. It's all done for you. So driveway, landscaping, retaining, fencing, inside, all lighting, tiles, carpet, blinds. It's all completed inside and out. So I have a range of turnkey items. So that's from New South Wales, Queensland, and Victoria. And the other thing is people, they buy a block of land, they're sort of looking around builders, but I work with 5 builders. So I see which particular builder suits their budget and what they're after, and show them through homes that the builders are building, and just let them know which would be suitable for their budget and what their requirements. And again, as I said, I'm just with them all the way through from beginning to end.
Okay, so you cover a few of the states on the East Coast. What sort of price range are investors? And I know that it's probably going to be maybe different for investors versus homeowners. What sort of price point are the investors buying in?
Yeah, so it has obviously gone up. I mean, COVID sort of did that, especially with land prices. Like 3 years ago, land prices just skyrocketed. Now land isn't moving as quickly as it was in COVID time. So they sort of leveled off the pricing. So for a standard, say 4-bedroom double garage home, you're sort of looking around that 750 up to about 950,000. In areas, mind you, that 950 was in an area, say 11 years ago, I was selling for 390,000 house and land, and now
Wow.
you're at 950, 980. It's just crazy. So that's what I say. Investing in property is always great. You're always going to get that return. And then if you're looking at, say, a dual key option, which we can talk about, you're looking at around that 899, 950 for the dual key and land. So yeah.
Okay, so if we can just break down some of the terminology. So turnkey, you said, is sort of when everything's there, you can turn your key, you can walk in and it's all sorted. And you did mention that that was generally your gardening and your lawn and
Yes, everything's done. Yeah, you turn the key into the door and everything's done.
done. Okay, can I ask a real dumb question? Is there enough, like I would sort of say that that's the way all property should be handed over, but is there another option to not have it
I
turnkey?
mean, that's the thing. I don't deal with the big display builders, but I suppose people go to display home villages and they get carried away with the gorgeous smoke and mirrors of the display homes, and it's all decked out, looks gorgeous. Majority of those big display builders do not do driveway, do not do fencing, landscaping. They just want to build the house, get in and get out. So a lot of the time they'll cut the block wrong and people will be left with, over a metre high retaining walls. So they're just interested in building the house and getting out. So that's another option to build. But I always think for an investment point of view, turnkey is really the only way to go, because you just got everything completed and it's all done and no stress.
Yeah, I mean, and for those that are listening that don't do that, I guess the only other alternative is they put the pressure on the property manager to finish off all those extra things, which probably wouldn't be fair to a property manager to have to finish off the build.
Yeah, that's right. And to the incoming tenants, if they've got to wait, they're waiting to get into their house, but they haven't got a driveway down. So yeah, it's
exactly.
yeah.
So and I'll stay on this turnkey just for a little bit longer before we go to the dual option. If someone was paying between $750,000 to $950,000 for a house and land, all sorted, what sort of rent return are you seeing in some of those properties?
Yeah, well, some of like the areas around 950,000, you're looking around that $800 a week.
Yep.
750, you're looking around that 650 a week. So it's definitely has increased the rents as well. Yeah, so that gives you a rough idea of what you're getting.
Yeah,
So.
beautiful. So then we've got obviously two types of investors. So we've got the investors that love the new build, and we've got the investors that love the bigger blocks and the older homes.
Yes.
So I'm very I fully get the old house big block. Can you go through with me the type of buyers and investors that choose a new build option and the benefits for them choosing new build as opposed to old house and established properties?
On that old house build as well, I've actually got a product as well. People have got an existing home, so landlords, they're sitting there, they've had that old home for 5 years' time. If they've got a big enough block, they can actually put a really nice 3-bedroom townhouse on the back as well. So that's just something that I've been looking at too with one of my builders. But with building brand new, you've got your more depreciation, you've got less maintenance, and more often than not, by the time the build is finished, you've got some equity there anyway in your home. So obviously there's those three factors, and you get a brand new home and you get to pick colours.
Yeah.
Colours is just the most exciting thing. You don't have, a yellow bench top or a avocado green, although avocado green is coming in.
Really?
As well. So yeah, a lot of the greens it's more sage greens are more popular at the moment. But yeah.
Investors watching this, do not go green for my properties. I like neutral. Give me white, give me cream, give me beige.
So whites, greys, a little bit of timber accents, and maybe a little bit of sage green in there. But yeah, don't go not with the hard colours, just soft neutral colours.
Yeah. So random, but it's sometimes I drive past a house and there might be bright blue gutters on a house, and I always think to myself, why the hell would they have chosen bright blue gutters? The colours, you've chosen that.
Yes. Yeah. Fairly neutral.
Always. So from my experience, when I get approached by a few people that are wanting to go down the new road, I'm finding that those investors, they generally tend to be people that are buying in a self-managed super fund.
Yes.
I get people that are really nervous about the buying and investment and maintenance. And like you said, it's less maintenance. So sometimes people feel a bit of security in that new build section,
Yes.
which I get. And then the third lot of people that I get are typically the ones where they have got 3 or 4 properties already and now just want their last property, no headache style, easy, just to tap on, because in their mind they were like, I want 5 rental properties. And so they've been quite diverse with their portfolio. So they've got the older house, they've got the smaller block, they've got this, they've got that, and they have a new one. I quite like that style of investing with new builds to balance everything out, because like you said, you've got the good tax depreciation.
Yes.
You're getting a bit of benefit there, but then sometimes the bigger blocks, older homes, can give you opportunity and give you a bit of benefit there. And
Yeah.
got 5 properties that all have a purpose in a portfolio, which is
Yes, exactly. Yeah, yes. Yeah, no, I always believe building is best, but that's just me.
yeah, no, and
Five times.
wow, and so that's the thing. That's why I really was looking forward to chatting with you, because I think you either sit in one camp or the other. I've never had a new house before. I've never.
Never brought existing. We've never brought existing. Always build new. So, and we'll do it again. I already know what I'm going to build next. So,
Yeah, it's like it's a bit of a mindset thing, like with what you feel comfortable with at the end of the day. I had a client yesterday call me, and he has 2 properties in 2 new houses that he built over east, and he's wanting 2 properties over here. But he specifically said to me that he wants new builds, smaller block. And it was quite refreshing, because I said to him, no one really ever asked me for that at the moment. But I think it's because the WA market is probably not the right environment for new builds at the moment. It's a bit volatile. It's long, it's slow. It's a bit uncertain, but I don't know if that's the case all over Australia, or if WA have got it a bit harder in the building industry. Is there anything that you noticed?
yeah, I feel like we've come out the other side. Definitely was hard during COVID, and and people were scared. Builders were going to go broke, and had the interest rates. So I definitely feel we've come out the other side. As far as blocks, you're mentioning block sizes. I mean, some of them are down to 300 square meters. 400 square meters seems to be the norm nowadays, whereas 10 years ago, a small block was 550, 600 square meters. So it's like, and no one would ever think of having a block of 300 square meters. But yeah, I think we definitely have come through the end of it. But yeah, just hope interest rates don't go up again.
Yeah.
That's a thing, yes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Can we talk about the dual key? I have seen some really good rental returns with dual key options. So I'm interested to sort of hear your experience with it. So just with those that need to understand, can you just explain what a dual key house is?
Yeah, exactly. So I've had a lot of mum and dad investors have this, invest in this type of build. So it's basically a 3 and a 2 bedroom under the one roof, or can be a 4 bedroom and a 2 bedroom. 2 bedroom is very popular at the moment, because of the cost of living. So they're sort of coming in around that 500 you'll get per week rental wise. A 3 bedroom around those areas I was talking about is around about that 650. So yeah, so you've got a 3 and a 2 under the one roof. You can't subdivide them, so they can't be on separate titles, but they're a great investment opportunity. And even for those with families, if you wanted to pull your finances together with your parents, one adult child on one side takes the 4 or 3 bedroom, and the parents in the 2 bedroom, because they're traveling around Australia and they just need a base. That's a great it's a great build as well for that sort of thing. But investment wise, it's fantastic, because you're getting 2 rents under the same roof.
And visually, I'm assuming it's the same all over Australia, but visually a dual key generally looks from the street like one house.
Like a house, that's right. Yeah, and that's why the councils love them,
Yeah.
because of how they look like a house. Councils are encouraging this type of build because obviously they need to get people into homes. And yeah, so you basically will have a double garage at the front. It will have like a pillar in between because your garages are separated. And but your second residence is normally around the corner, so you don't sort of see that front door. Yeah, and it just looks like a normal home from the front.
Yeah, I think it's really the way of the future, the dual key option. And I wish there was a bit more talk about it because, number one, I think the rent returns are really good. Like, so in Perth, for those that are looking here, you'll generally find the dual key options up north of the river with like Tapping, Pearsall, sort of those new estates north. And there also are a couple down in Baldivis as well, which is in the south, where we've got a couple of the dual key as well. What I think, number one, they're really great from a sustainable housing point of view. There's lots of options, but it also, like you mentioned, it sort of encourages that generational living options for people. But there are just so many opportunities. So, like you said, you could have the children and the parents. You could have the parents, and as their children get older,
Yeah,
you could potentially Airbnb or do short stay for extra
exactly. Yeah,
income. You can rent it out separately. You can downsize to your 2 bedroom and rent out the big side. They're really, really good as long as you get it pretty clear with the side access and the people that
yes.
have that smaller property, the smaller property getting access in. But everyone that I've found, they're pretty private. In terms of the internal noise, no complaints
Right, 'cause you've got
there.
a firewall in between. Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
okay, so I didn't
And
know that, so that's good to know.
yeah, yeah, that's right. And you've got, yeah, definitely on the 2 bedroom side, like it's all sort of fenced off as well. So that, I mean, for an older person in there, they feel nice and secure as well. So, and that seems to be the market for the 2 bedroom for as far as tenants renting that out is older people in that, and normally an older lady by herself. So,
Yeah,
yeah. But going back to that Airbnb, where we are, there's a suburb called Cessnock, which is near the Hunter Valley. So I've seen like the 3 bedroom side, people live in the 3 bedroom side and then have the 2 bedroom as an Airbnb. So it's because it's near the vineyard. So yeah, it's one way to obviously get more income from your home.
yeah. My friend Kelly runs Hunter Valley Property Management.
Oh yes, we love Kelly. I'm catching up with Kelly next week.
Oh, you must tell her that you chatted to me. So she's a gorgeous girl. I haven't met her in person, but
Yeah.
we do a lot socially online, and she helps me out with a few a few things that I do in that state as well,
Yes.
so in that area. So if you are looking at building, definitely reach out to Carrie Ann, but also to Kelly, who can help you.
Oh yes. Kelly is amazing and she's amazing on social media. So yes,
She is
up
fabulous.
there, up with her quite a bit.
Excellent, wonderful. Yeah, no, I just remembered then when she's doing new builds that that area does have a lot of new builds. So
Yes.
very cool.
Yeah.
Now I know you probably don't want to talk about the negatives, but I do want to touch on the negatives. Even though I know that you love new builds.
Yep.
Do you have any negatives of maybe why someone wouldn't do a new build in their portfolio?
Not so much that, but more that going to builders who go and sell you a build price very, very cheaply. Now, this is one of my bugbears because I actually offer another service called a tender health check, which is Australia wide. And basically, I look at other builders' tenders or contracts and let people know what is or isn't included. So that is a big bugbear that, it's advertised on TV, $65,000 off. You get all these free luxuries. And people think they're getting a very cheap price at all these luxuries, and that's all they're paying. But most of the time, those builders are leaving out big essential items that are needed, like estate requirements, like if they hit rock, if they need the soil classification isn't right. So that's adding on 50 to 100,000 onto that price. So that it really, really annoys me in this industry that there's sort of, I don't know if you're sort of like clickbaiting or I don't know, clickbait marketing, getting people in at that cheap price. And we all of us in the industry know that that's not the correct price. And no matter what you tell people, they're like, yeah, no, this is what my build's going to cost. And it's like, there's no way that build is going to cost that much because, over the whole scheme of things, a build price is generally from builder to builder is roughly the same, unless with some of the big builders do get a big discount. But yeah, that's a big bugbear and something to look out for. That if it sounds too good to be true, it normally is. So
Absolutely.
that's a big thing. I mean, obviously, if you're building, we've had a lot of rain last couple of weeks, so that's pushed a lot of my clients' builds back, and so the weather can play havoc with it. And, obviously when we had COVID, that supply of materials on that came in. But at the end of the day, like I said, it's all sort of leveled out, especially in New South Wales, Queensland. And at the end of the day, you get a brand new home, your maintenance is great. You get to pick the design, you get to pick the colours. And, as long as you hang on to it at least for 10 years, you would definitely get that capital gain. So, yeah.
And how long are the builds taking on average? A couple of years?
No. So you're looking, I always tell my clients, you've got to look at 12 months from plans to be drawn up, reports that the builder has to do, put the plans into council or certifier, and then build. You're looking at around that 12 months. I mean, I've had some that have come in at 8-9 months. And then obviously COVID time, that was stretched out. I did have some builds that went longer, but now, as I said, everything's sort of leveling off. Just that 12 months. It could come in at 9-10, but allow that 12 months.
Okay, and so I mean, I'm just thinking, I wonder whether a bit of a negative would also be that during that building time, you've got payments on your block and your in-store payments, I assume, of your build and things like that. So do people see that as a bit of a negative?
Well, I suppose you just have to factor that in, and it's all about with your mortgage broker as well, because obviously you buy the land and then your build is drawn down in progress payments. So, you're paying on, interest, and it's interest only for a construction loan. So it's interest only like on your land, and then you draw down on your slab. So your interest on the land portion and your slab portion, and then you go to frame and you've got frame drawdown. So you're not paying for the whole lot to begin with. It's drawn down at different areas. I mean, I do have a couple of products which are suitable for self-managed super funds, where it's one contract and basically people just pay a deposit and they don't pay anything until the end, which, those people are a bit worried. That's a good option, and obviously for self-managed super funds. But yeah, I suppose with your mortgage broker, they would work out, how your affordability is and if you have to eat baked beans every night.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, no different to buying a property and your tenant not paying rent. You've always got to be able to afford no income on a property at some stage. Unfortunately, it's not ideal, but it's the way that it is. My last question for you. If you were building a property for an owner-occupier versus an investor, I'm putting you on the spot with this question, what differences would you make for an investment property that you wouldn't make in a owner-occupied property?
I suppose it would be all about the inclusions. I always think, though, even for an investment property, having 900 appliances, like the oven, I would sort of question with the investor, do you want to just stick to the 2 split air conditioning units, or do you want to do ducted air conditioning? Because sometimes that can give you the edge over another investment property. Obviously, if it's an owner builder, I'd definitely say ducted air. Owner builder, I'd say put in more feature tiles, because I love that in the bathrooms, in the kitchen and all that. Investor, so the only things with investor I would say to upgrade would be your appliances, so your oven and your air conditioning. And other than that, don't get too emotionally invested in it, because it's there to make you money. You want it to be very comfortable for your tenants, so you want it to be looking nice, but then just go with neutral color schemes. You want to have a lot of storage, no matter if you're building your own home or investment. Storage is what I always say. So as long as you've got those few factors in, I don't think you should overthink it with an investment home. again, people still go to the display homes and want this, and this, but, is the wine fridge really going to give you more rent or more of a hassle? Is that gorgeous tap going to be, more of a plumbing issue down the track? So, yeah, I think definitely with investment, you have to look at the inclusions compared to a owner occupier. When you can go overboard with the bath and all that, and the shower roses and all that, just stick to very standard things for your investment, but make it comfortable for your tenants. But don't go overboard. Don't overthink.
Amazing, excellent. And so obviously if you're an investor and looking at building sort of in those areas that Carrie Ann was mentioning, please do reach out to her. But I actually really love what you said about you also do auditing of contracts as well. And I just remembered a time that my mum, who built for the first time years and years ago, and I remember her experience of it was not fabulous because she didn't have experience in building. And so once it was done, she looks at the plans, just as you're an investor, you're looking at plans, but you sort of don't know what you're looking at either. And it sort of all looks like it's okay. And I remember when it got done, she said to the builder, why did you put the hot water system down the side of the house? And what happened was the hot water system was a tank. It was down the side on a pathway, but it didn't leave enough room between the fence and the hot water system to get a lawnmower down the side of the house.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, she didn't pick up on it because she doesn't know that. And so she had to end up paying extra for them to move it to the other side of the house so it didn't block the pathway to put the lawnmower. That was really frustrating with her because she felt that the builders should have known that and explained that to her, and they don't. And so that, I guess, is like my experience of why potentially getting someone like yourself to audit would really be a good idea, especially if you haven't built before, because I feel like building something that you learn from your mistakes, but you sort of don't want to make those mistakes at the start either.
Yeah, that's right. And like I said, I just let people know what is or isn't included, because sometimes, the display home builders, the salesmen, they're out to make a sale. So sometimes they'll say whatever they can to get that sale, whereas if you have someone independent, like me, and saying, oh, hang on, I don't think that's actually included in that contract. It just makes the process so much easier. And you don't want to be confused about what you're going to sign either. You want to know exactly what you're signing.
Yeah, 100%. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that little bit extra. It's really good. I love just to showcase different styles. So I was really happy to sort of have you on today. Hopefully that shares a little bit more to my investors on the options of building and maybe why you should consider it and things to consider if you are going to go down that road. And so I'll make sure that Carrie Ann's details are all on the description of this video. So feel free to click there and reach out to her if you need anything further. And of course, you know where I am. If you have any questions for the Perth market, I can absolutely help you over here. Because Carrie Ann is on the East Coast, if you've got any East Coast questions or needing to find someone on the East Coast, I'm assuming, Carrie Ann, you'd probably be able to help them as well if anyone wants to reach out just to ask a few more questions.
Yeah, always happy to have a chat.
Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Ashley.